I found out my 31 male ex-wife 27 female cheated on me while she was pregnant. Now she says I'm emotionally manipulative because I'm cold and distant during custody switches. Plus update. I, 31M, found out my now ex-wife, 27F, had been cheating on me last year when she was 6 months pregnant. The affairs happened before and during the pregnancy. She had reasons and excuses and didn't want to get a divorce. She wanted to stay together and do couples therapy. I told her to go ahead and get therapy, but cheating was a deal breaker for me, so we got a divorce. The house was mine before we got married, so she moved back in with her parents, who had enough room to set up a nursery and give my ex the guest room. We agreed to an even 50-50th split of custody. My wife has our daughter Sunday through Wednesday, and the original plan was for her to drop her off at daycare on Wednesday morning, and my nanny picked her up around noon and brought her back to my house, where my daughter would stay with me until Saturday night or Sunday morning, depending on what worked best for everyone. Then my ex said she thought the daycare was misplacing some things she was sending in for her to bring to my house, because a few times our daughter came home short some bottles or without her binky. So ex said she wanted to drop our daughter off at our house directly to make sure all of her things get to me. So she started picking her up from daycare on her breaks and dropping her off here. I work from home Wednesdays and Fridays. Even so, I'm working. When ex began dropping off Nadine at my house, it was normally about 12:30. My daughter's nanny, nice old lady from Barbados, not sure of her age, but I'd say late 50s to 60s, was the one to answer the door for my ex and take my daughter and her things, since I was in my office working. Ex began saying she wanted to speak to me directly when she dropped off. She said she felt like she was unloading a lot on the nanny and didn't want her to forget to tell me anything. I would be lying if I said I didn't still have some resentment and anger towards my ex. I don't want my daughter to see that though, so when I talk to my ex I try to be as emotionally even as possible, just talk about the things that pertain to my daughter and no more. At today's drop-off, Nadine had a dirty diaper, so her nanny took her upstairs to change her. My ex asked me how I was doing and I told her I was fine, thank you, and then began to walk back to my office. She sees herself out, she used to live there. As I was walking away she says, "You know, I'm getting really sick of your." I didn't even get a chance to ask her what she was talking about when she just started freaking out, saying I was emotionally manipulating her by being cold and distant, that she shouldn't be punished forever for her mistakes, and how me hating her is the same as me hating my daughter. I let her finish yelling, and then told her to leave. I think my best bet is to go no contact with her again, and not see her for drop-offs anymore. But I was looking for some other perspectives or opinions on the matter if you might have them. Edit, I got a paternity test once I found out she cheated. My daughter is mine. Update. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who took the time to comment their support, sympathies, and advice. I didn't get a chance to respond to all the comments, but I read and appreciate them all. There were so many great suggestions. Someone suggested a website called Talking Parents, which I believe is going to be a great resource for my ex-wife and I. The thing I need to keep reminding myself is that in 5 or 10 years, the negative and betrayed feelings I have for my ex-wife will most likely fade, but a hostile relationship between the two of us will impact our daughter forever. Because of this, I sat down with my ex-wife and had a recorded conversation about our situation. I was very open and honest with her. I told her that I still had negative feelings towards her as my ex-wife, but as the mother of my child I would always treat her civilly and respectfully, but we had to have boundaries. I told her that we are going back to the original plan where she drops her off at the daycare Wednesday mornings, and my nanny picks her up in the afternoon. We're going to communicate through the website which items should be sent home with her, so the nanny can double-check to make sure she has everything. My ex-wife isn't happy. I think she was coming to my house in hopes of reconciliation, but I told her respectfully, but in no uncertain terms, that it was never going to happen, but I would love to evolve our relationship as awesome co-parents to an amazing little girl, and maybe one day, friends. Again, thank you to everyone who took the time to reply to my post. This community has been a wonderful resource for me. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Story 2. Wife had been flirting with her co-worker. She said she would stop, but it just happened again. Is there any future in this relationship? Original. My wife and I have been married for slightly more than 3 years now. Last Christmas, I found she had been having a long conversation with a co-worker of hers, in which they talked about having had multiple times, and that they couldn't wait for the next one. The guy said he was going to book a hotel near their office right after Christmas. In this conversation, when he said he was looking forward to seeing my wife, she would reply with things like "I'm looking forward to much more than just seeing you," etc. You get the idea. Overly flirty, and when I confronted my wife, she denied the conversation existed. After deleting it, she showed me her phone to prove it didn't exist. But I had taken a few pictures. She then said it was all virtual, and that they never did anything physical. To prove she was right, she messaged her co-worker, in front of me, asking if he had booked the hotel. He replied not yet. She then asked if he was really expecting them to meet, to which he replied negatively. She promised they would never talk again, and I agreed, simply because I love her a lot and wanted to trust her, but in my mind I wasn't completely sure she had been honest. For a few weeks, I must admit I checked her phones a few too many times, so she changed her password, which I was fine with because I was probably being too paranoid. This week, I picked her phone up because I needed a code that had been sent to her phone number. I didn't even need to unlock the screen to get it. To my surprise, under the message with the code there were other messages from the same guy. One of them was an audio, the second one was a shirtless photo of himself in front of a mirror, and the third one said sweaty, and a few emojis with the tongue. I confronted her since she had promised they wouldn't talk ever again, and she said he just wanted to show her he's going to the gym to show progress. But that the rest of the times they talk it's just about work, and that this is just a coincidence. I asked her to show me the rest of their messages, but she said she had mistakenly deleted their conversation history. My wife says she's going to change this time, and that I never really forgave her, and that's why she kept talking to the guy. She says this time she's really going to stop, but I have a hard time believing it. Or even if she does stop, I fear when things don't go so well between us she'll do it again. I really love her but can't keep living like this. Is there any situation in which this can work? What would you do? Update. After reading every single comment of the Reddit post, my brain just couldn't overcome the catastrophe and the collapse of the world I had built for me, in which my wife is my love, my best friend and partner, as well as the person I admire the most. She was entirely perfect and made me happy for many years. I thought no couple in the world could have what we had. We were both very happy for a long time. We were both attractive, we were both inherently good, had big hearts, and were individually wildly successful in our careers. After the Reddit post, I moved to an Airbnb, and eventually with family to think things through. It was a terrible time, but a psychologist helped me recover from a terrible mental state. It coincided with the pandemic hitting very hard in my city. I caught the virus, which didn't help. During this time, we kept talking and my wife was very sorry and continued saying they hadn't met. I knew it wasn't true, but was willing to forgive the woman of my dreams, who continued being in the highest altar of my universe. Fast forward last Saturday morning, I went back to our place, ready to forgive her and talk things through in the most mature way possible. And well, there she was, but I was the one who received the biggest surprise, to say the least. The guy was in my house naked, and so was my wife. The guy from the messages, the guy from the pics. The one she said she didn't even like. I caught him hiding in my bathroom as my wife was putting her pajamas on. When I saw him hiding in my bathroom, he uttered, "Sorry dude." For a second I asked myself, is this where I kill him? But I instantly replied, I got nothing against you, because the guy was just nailing this hot woman. Even if he was doing so in a house full of pictures of me. Pictures of our wedding and our families. Pictures of my dead father, who would be so sad to see how the marriage he never witnessed was going to end. He has always been the reason I try to make the world a better place. He passed away 2 months before our wedding. I'm sorry. I still love her to death. But I understand enough is enough. Even if my world collapses, I hope I can build a new one without lies, and in which I'm not just a blind believer under an altar of a fake god. Godspeed.